My dad, Doug Smith, was born in 1943 in a small community here in Mulch, Tennessee. There was 8 of them and they farmed to survive. His dad was also a blacksmith by trade, and his dad also had a sawmill. So Dad actually grew up a little bit in the sawmilling industry. So he went on and developed a business that he knew second best, and that was the sawmilling industry. Dad hated waste. So when he started his own sawmill, there's some scrap with that. You have to take the bark off. That was a waste product. And then when you saw the lumber, there's dust. That just builds up. That's a waste product. And then you also have, we call them chips, or pieces of the board that we can't use. That was another waste product. So just from one log sawing it, you had 3 different waste products. We don't like waste. So what he did, he developed different businesses based on these waste products in order to sell them or utilize them in some way.
It's a renewable resource, and we try to leave it better than we found it. And a lot of people assume that you go into these tracts of timber and you're just murdering it and taking all the trees out. But we're actually trying to take out the bigger mature trees so that the smaller young trees have the opportunity to develop and mature themselves.
Overall, we view our product as probably one of the most efficient, environmentally friendly ways of building. And that may seem maybe counterintuitive. Even though we're harvesting trees for the purpose of turning them into logs for log homes, there's minimal inputs going into that process. So if you think about homes, how they're typically built, conventional homes, they're cut up into a lot of small little 2x4s. There's a lot of framing, a lot of components go into making that house stand up, right? So in our process, we're basically taking a log, we're cutting it up kind of into a square, and then it's getting stacked and built into a house. So there's a lot less inputs, a lot less energy that goes into that. Now here in Tennessee, many of the parks and the state parks, government areas, you have to have kiln dried firewood. So we don't want to see those materials go to waste. So in many cases, those are packaged and sold so that people can have a campfire at their campsite and know that it's safe.
So once the logs are brought in onto our yard, we're going to inspect those logs to assess the value of those logs. So we'll know kind of how to pay the landowners or the loggers, whoever bring the logs into us. And then we're going to debark the log. And basically what that does is gets all the debris, the bark, everything off of the log, so that when we do saw it, we don't have to worry about, grit or grime, dirt, rocks, or anything dulling our bands as we run it through. And the bark that comes off of those logs is sent to our sister company, Barky Beaver.
We take the waste that comes from our sawmill and other local sawmills in the area, and we turn them into environmentally friendly, very high quality mulch and soil mixes for customers here within about a 200-mile radius. The bark and chip both we store in large piles, and that's just kind of the easiest way for us to handle it. And then we let it age. We let Mother Nature, basically the sun, heat, and water, go into it and age it. There are tannins, so there are products within the bark that could be detrimental to plants just if you were to just take it right off the tree and us make mulch out of it. So we take and age it and let those products kind of die down, and the bark becomes a little easier to work with as it ages as well. And then we have grinding systems that we put both the bark and the chips through. They're just large machines. Tub grinders are what we use, and we load them, and that machine shreds and finally grinds the chips and the bark into their finished mulch products. After that, we let it age again. Once it's ground, then we can either ship it straight as our hardwood, all natural hardwood bark mulch, or our playground surfacing, or what the chips go to a lot. Or we have a dyeing machine that we can put the mulch into and dye it colors, and we do a brown, a black, a cherry brown, which is kind of a reddish brown, and a new one that's called cinnamon, and it's a little more red in color. It's a huge benefit to us as a company, to be able just to have the sawmill right there. Honest Abe and their shavings, we just drive them across the road in our truck, so it's a great thing to us, but I think we're also a huge benefit to them in the fact that they don't have to necessarily worry about getting rid of their waste products. They have a place to go with them all the time.
As small as this community is, to be able to take waste and recycle that and reuse it and develop other companies from it is huge. We've been able to create companies providing more jobs and more dollars for our local economy here, because you have to buy fuel, you have to buy supplies, you got to buy parts, you buy your equipment. It's been a huge impact to this economy.